So there is a lighting problem here. So if the atmosphere seemed a bit bleaky for you, then please understand that there is a lighting problem here. We'll get it fixed. I just thought before I step out, I would do a live and then get on my business. But nonetheless, I want to thank you for being a part of this live today. And I just want to give you an update on my position on the elections yesterday. The general elections yesterday, one that we have all been anticipating, hoping for, speculating, coming up with our own synopsis, our own theory, some conspiracy, some based on fabricated data, some based on emotions, some based on racism, some based on sexism, some based on bigotry, some based on religious ideology, some based on extremism. But we have all made our point, and we got it out there. However, what I want to tap into on this live today is not to further any conspiracy, not to, add to the misinformation that is already circulating out there, but to bring some sense of caution, to create a foundation that people can, sink their hands into and hold fast. Because I captioned my thumbnail or my promo there, warning for the People's Progressive Party. And my reason for that, it is because the People's Progressive Party, Civic, is really the only party that Guyana has. Guyana don't have any other political party. Not because you call yourself or you're registered as a political organization, it means that you are in fact a political party. The only politicians in Guyana are housed in the People's Progressive Party, in the PPP. And I'm not talking about persons who had a beef with the government or persons who rise up and start to criticize the government and therein they join some political movement and now they're labeling themselves as politicians. Not because you happen to enter the National Assembly, the Parliament, by virtue of securing votes from your so-called political party, that doesn't make you a politician. You're not there representing anybody. You're there because you had ambitions, and rightly so, and you are enjoying the spoils of your achievements as a member of parliament. But you're not making contribution to anyone. And when it comes around the time, like yesterday, that season of election, then those people who would have enjoyed the spoils for 5 years in the parliament, putting on a show, acting up their theatrics, they come outside and pretend that they care about the people and wanting to dissuade voters or wanting to convince or seduce voters to vote for them, not their party, for them. Because the ultimate gift, the jackpot, is when your party is in government. That's the jackpot. But it's not a jackpot that you would help people. The jackpot meaning money for you. All your days, all your years running behind politics pays off. And you sucked on the blood of the dollar, the Guyanese dollar, for 5 years. You milk it, and you milk it, and you milk it, and you milk it, and you milk it. And then come elections again. And you start to get nervous because you haven't made anything of the monies you would have stolen while in government. Then you start to fantasize, shit, I should have saved that money. I should have invested that money. So you want another chance to get a second opportunity to steal again, but this time you would have learned that the previous time you didn't save the money. You didn't manage the money properly. So if you get another chance, you're planning this time, you're going to make sure that you save the money you will have the opportunity to steal. So you would stop at nothing to convince the same voters you neglected for 5 years to trust you again, just so you can repair your mistake in not saving the money that you stole. So you can save the money if you get a chance to be in government again. I'm not talking, this is not about the PPP. I'm referring to the PNC. Because in their 5 years, that's what they did. Elections is over, but their sins are not forgotten. Their crimes are not punished yet. So the fact of the matter is, they're going to be another 5 years in opposition. My job would not be over. They're going to spend that next 5 years in opposition worse than they did the previous 5 years. Because you know why? Let me get close to them. Let me tell you why. Because the 5 years, 2015, 2020, that the PNC was there, they are now sitting back and they spend the last 5 years, 2020, 2025, fantasizing the access they could have had to that money had they had a chance 2020 to continue with their thievery, with their corruption and their crimes. But because the good guy came, President Ali, and he ruled under God, the PNC couldn't deal with that. Absolutely not. They couldn't deal with that. So they did everything possible to bring down the Ali administration. They tried crime, it didn't work. They tried propaganda, it didn't work. They tried racism, it didn't work. They tried everything that they can pull out of the Barnum's playbook It didn't work. What happened to them? They ended up electing an undesirable leader, a leader that not even his immediate camp wanted to be associated with, a leader that the typical Afro-Guyanese would never be proud of, a leader that not even his best friends want to see him as president, because in their mind, this guy is a loser. In their mind, they know that the PNC Congress elections was rigged. Because in no way, Aubrey Norton, who was a know-nothing, who was a low energy, low life, insignificant, nobody knows he existed, under the Granger government, can rise to the top of becoming the leader of a black party when there are thousands of eligible, mighty, deserving blacks that could have taken over that party and make something of it. Aubrey Norton is just a downgrade to Robert Corbyn. Aubrey Norton is just a downgrade to Robert Corbyn. He is a lower caste to Robert Corbyn. Robert Corbyn was the worst thing that happened to the PNC. Aubrey Norton is the most dangerous thing that happened to the PNC. How could you have gone from Granger to that? How could you have gone from Granger to Norton? This is why the PNC betrayed it. The Afro-Guyanese, they betrayed them. The Afro-Guyanese wanted someone they could be proud of, they could boast about. Was it a surprise that the blacks did not go out to vote? You could have seen it coming. I saw it coming. A lot of people with brains saw it coming, that the blacks would not go out to vote. The blacks who went out to vote actually went out to vote for the PPP. I'm not talking about the ghetto. The ghetto obviously would support Azruddin. But the Afro-Guyanese, who once took pride in the PNC because of what it stood for, they voted for the PPP. They wanted no associations with Aubrey Norton. None whatsoever. They didn't want any association. Because to them, that class of Afro-Guyanese, Aubrey Norton does not represent them. They are the church class. They're the middle class. They're the educated class. They're the business class. They're the class where their children goes to colleges, universities, and all the top schools in Guyana. That's the class of Afro-Guyanese that wants nothing to do with the PNC. They voted for the PPP. And for those who have lost their confidence in all the parties, they stayed home. They stayed home simply because they did not want to disrupt what is happening in Guyana. The peaceful progress. They don't want to disrupt it. But they rather, you know what? They can't see themselves voting for Aubrey Norton. So they rather stay home. And they were crossing their fingers that their friends and family voted for the PPP. Those black people. Now listen. Let me say something about the others. First of all, It was expected that the political process would be largely peaceful, because I've said on numerous occasions on my show, and I advise the Guyanese mothers, the Afro-Guyanese mothers, to talk to their sons, talk to their daughters, that they would be the ones in tears. Don't let them carry out the agenda of these murderous people from the PNC or this new guy win. Talk to them. Let them go out peacefully and vote, and after that, return home. I was hoping that that's what they will do, and that's what they did. Because elections is but a day. Life continues tomorrow. And while you may associate yourself emotionally to a candidate or a party, that candidate or that party is not going to come to your house and cook your food, is not going to pay your bills, is not going to write you a check if you have no job. So there is no point in you putting your life on the line for an individual. There is no point. I've also said on many occasions that all the people, the main persons who are fighting to get into government, I'm talking Amanza Walton, Simona Brooms, Aubrey Norton, Ajuddin Mohammed, President Ali, Vice President Jagdeo, all of them have millions in their bank account. Millions. The richest of them all is Ajuddin Mohammed. Do you understand me? So if you risk your life to say you're going to create chaos or destruction because you want to fight for a party that had a fair loss, whose candidate wants to be president, but until elections, that candidate had millions and millions of dollars in their bank accounts, regardless of the promises that candidate could have made to you. They're not going to transfer their wealth to you. While you may have nothing in your bank account, not because of a failure of any government, but a failure of yourself to take advantage of the opportunities you have been afforded. While your bank account may be empty, and you may want to associate you being broke by some so-called corruption from some government, and you're going to go out to vent that frustration, you will get shot. And if you get shot and you die, that candidate that is telling you the election was rigged, he goes on to live and enjoy his big fancy car, his huge house, and the money he getting from the government. I would speak of Aubrey Norton. The average Guyanese, you saw yesterday, the only disruptor, not even the sanctioned man, not even the criminal, the biggest criminal in the country, Ajuddin Mohammed, not even him had anything negative to say about the process. The man who wants people to trust him, he is for law and order. He will defend Guyana against Venezuela. He will this, he will that. He was a disruptor. Aubrey Norton was the disruptor. Now tell me something. The whole world is watching. The whole country is watching. There were people in their homes, black people in their homes, waiting to see the process is going to be peaceful before they decided to come out and vote. They didn't want to risk it because they know that they were believing the propaganda that they're going to be chaos, they're going to be this. So they're like, you know what, let's see how this goes. We have until 6 p.m. It's early. Let's see how this goes. And therein, they saw everybody else It's peaceful. But people from their side, the leader who wants them to vote for him, going and creating chaos. Do you know how? Do you know how embarrassed those black people were? They're like, what? And I was planning to go vote for this asshole. This is the man who wants to be president, who wants my vote. Fuck it, I'm staying home. If this is how he's behaving, embarrassing me, I'm not going out to vote. That's one of the reasons why a lot of black people did not go out to vote, because of Aubrey Norton's performance, his nonsense, his bullyism. And he had no grounds in which to do that. No grounds. Just the typical thuggish bullyism behavior. And he thinks that's going to scare off the Indo-Guyanese or the others from going on because he started with this kind of thing. No. It just scared his own people. His own PNC supporters, it scared them. They didn't want any association. They realized that, nah, we're done with this. We're done with this. You guys are talking all year. All the PPP is corrupt. The violent PPP, the PPP put their people to do this and to do that and don't trust the PPP. Vote them out. You, the PNC crowd, with your bench cup and all these people, they're the ones pushing this propaganda. Look who created the chaos. Look who started violence. Look who. The head of the PNC. The number one guy that people like Mark Benchcup and all these others want the blacks to vote for. He was the one who started the chaos. And you want those decent Afro-Guyanese to vote for that? Did Granger behave like that? Did Granger behave like that? No, he didn't. He didn't. That's the man you elected to run the PNC, Aubrey Norton. Now it climaxed. Now they see the true colors of the man who brought the party down. Aubrey Norton, it's your fault. The PNC people should sue your ass. You destroyed the PNC. You caused Azzuddin Mohammed to get the PNC votes. You did. Norton, you did. They should vote your ass out the party. Finish your career. End it. If you have a chance still to get a life in England, because they said you studied there, go to England. Maybe you can be a security guard of some hotel or something. You destroyed the PNC. Dumb Norton. That's why you couldn't be a leader. You think people would have just fell for that shit? You think they would have come and say, oh yes, look, Norton is right. Look what they're doing. Let's go out. Let's fight. You think that is what you were hoping for. That's what you were hoping for. Oh, the judge did not cancel the elections because of the Desire woman. No, they didn't. The elections went through. You had to find something that you can use to get violence to come up. Didn't work. Peaceful. One of the most peaceful elections in the history of Guyana. And who was president? Irfan Ali. Irfan Ali. Granger was president in 2020. Yet they had chaos. Irfan Ali is president in 2025. Zero chaos. Do you see? You see why the best man got the job? This is why the best man got the job. Irfan Ali kept the peace of the country. He kept the peace. He maintained law and order throughout the process. Yes, Aubrey Norton, that little boy made you look like an asshole because Ali went peacefully. He and his wife, peacefully. Barajagdio, peacefully. You, the chaos. You carry chaos. You are embarrassing the decent blacks in Guyana. Aubrey Norton, you need to behave, man. You are embarrassing those Afro-Guyanese. That's why they're leaving. That's why they're leaving. Even the thugs want nothing to do with you. Look where the thugs are going with Win. The thugs are going with Win. And what do you know? Win is an Indo-Guyanese. He's Indian. Black people are not racial. You are racial. The Afro-Guyanese are not racial. The people who are racial are the PNC leaders. Aubrey Norton, Nigel Hughes, Vincent Alexander. Whatever happened to David Hines? Is he retired? Did they finally put him in a retirement home? Is he wearing diapers now? Whatever happened to him? But all these PNC old stalwarts, they're the racial ones. But the extended PNC supporters are not racial. They're just sympathetic towards their leadership. They're sympathetic. They have this kind of, sentimental attachment to the PNC. But the PNC don't own them. Look what they did. Look at what the large amount of blacks did. They voted PPP and they voted Win. Win is Indo-Guyanese. The people who are funding Win are Indo-Guyanese. No, black people are not funding Win. But yet, the PNC votes went to them. Where is the racism? Blacks are not racist. Their leaders are racist. The PPP supporters are not racist. The PPP supporters largely supported the PPP because the PPP is known as a party of peace, of progress, of prosperity. Who would not want to be identified with progress and prosperity? Who wouldn't? Look at the lives of the people who follow the PPP. The PPP motivates you, stimulates you, puts you on a path to want to do better, to want to be the best, to want to promote yourself, develop yourself. That's what the PPP does. The Mohammed family didn't get rich because they were born with luck. The father himself said it. They were born in poverty. He went to school without slippers. The father said it. How did they get rich? They were raised with the mentality, with the culture of Cheddi Jagan. What went wrong is the corruption went wrong. They were corrupt. The PPP didn't teach them to be corrupt. Money corrupts people. Greed corrupts people. But the base of the Muhammad success is because they were raised under the culture, the drive, the motivation, the inspiration of Cheddi Jagan and the PPP. But when they start seeing success, they're like, shit, we can go under the books, we can rob this, we can rob that, we can rob the taxes. That has nothing to do with Cheddi Jagan or the PPP. That's personal choices. But those who were raised under the PNC, look at them. Look at them. What do they have to show? Which billionaire in Guyana can say they became billionaire because of the culture and the discipline and the policies of the PNC? Which? Name two. There is none. And you want those blacks who see that their only opportunity of having some semblance of wealth and prosperity is supporting the PPP. You think they're going to want to support this lunatic, Aubrey Norton? He has done absolutely nothing. They talk about accommodation for voters, handicapped, disabled. PNC and their other camps, okay, they're all PNC, but they're talking about accommodation. Let's go back 2020. What accommodation did the PNC put in place? You mean now you have disabled people? Now you have old people who can't climb stairs? Now? What happened to 2020? Did the PNC made accommodation for black voters who were handicapped or disabled in 2020? Did they? No, they didn't. So now it's all Ali's fault. GCOM is an independent organization. They receive funding to do their job. GCOM should make those facilities available. But did it happen ever in the history of Guyana? No, it didn't. Why are you using that now to say that voters were disenfranchised because the government didn't make these facilities available? Did your government make it available? You were there. You should have known. In the decades of elections in Guyana, you should have known that these issues happen. But no, you weren't concerned about that. You weren't concerned about rigging, preventing people from voting. That's what you were concerned about. So now you're blaming Ali. Now it's Ali's fault. Ali doesn't control GCOM. I've said it before. If Irfan Ali controlled GCOM, Azzuddin Mohammed would never be a candidate because the state would not allow a sanctioned person to contest a legitimate process like an election. So that showed you that Ali has no control over GCOM. So now you know in the future, PNC, if you still exist, APNU, if you are still around 2030, now you know that you have a lot of seniors who are PNC hardcore supporters. You should get the wheelchair. You should pay people to be at these polling stations to help these people up. They're your people. They're your candidates. They're your voters. You should make that provision for them. Now also, it's also a chance for the PPP to say, hey, let us show these people that we have a heart. We're going to have systems in place 2030 to accommodate these kinds of people. The PPP must make the first move. It has never happened before. I don't think any country has that accommodation, but from human to human. The people want to be a part of the process. They want to contribute to the process. Fine, encourage them. Encourage them. So you create the opportunity so that they'll say, hey, you can come out and vote. When you make it so convenient for the handicapped, the less fortunate, the disabled to come out and vote, and they realize that the PPP is making this easy for me to vote, even if they had intentions to vote for any other party, who do you think they'll vote for? They'll vote for the PPP because the PPP is making it easy for them to come and vote. They're going to give that thanks to the PPP. That's something for the PPP to put in place in the future. Now, my next point is, let me say this. I am disappointed, and the official results are not out yet. So I'm not speaking based on hearsay. I'm not speaking based on any hearsay. But we all know, based on the data, that Irfan Ali and the PPP would largely win the election. We all knew that. I've been saying that for weeks, for days, for months. They will. The margin is what's important. As to what margin? Now, according to AI, Chat GDP, yeah, well, 89% of respondents. But let's hope that that's it. Let's hope that's it. However, we need to deal with the real data that will come out from the official source, GCOM. I will only speak after GCOM. I'm not drawing any conclusions now, no supposition. Tomorrow, when GCOM declares the official results, we all know who win. Ali won. We all know that. But the percentage, I would not speak on that. That's not my thing. I would comment on it tomorrow. But for now, we know for a certainty that President Irfan Ali has been re-elected. We know that. There's no debate with that. My warning is to the PPP, not just President Ali, to the PPP. Did you see how quick 5 years came? 2020 was just there. Yesterday was 2020. Did you see how quick time flies? Yes. Every day must matter. This is not a we do shit for 3 years and then the last 2 years we're going to try to tighten things. No, we got to stop that nonsense. Every day after election matters because people live every day. Babies are born every day. People celebrate birth anniversaries every day. So my thing is to the PPP. Throughout this 5 years, there is one thing on the mind and the lips of the PNC operatives. One thing, all the pundits they have, and they stepped it up coming up to the elections. Corruption, friends and family, payment under the table. That one thing. Nothing else, just that. The average Afro-Guyanese ties their poverty to government corruption because that is what they're led to believe. They're led to believe that their poverty is as a result of government corruption. President Ali and you and your government, you know that's not true. But I don't need convincing. The people needs convincing that that's not true. Now, how do you convince them? You have a lot of advisors who earn big salaries. Let them do their job. Let them advise. You don't know it all, Ali. You don't know it all. And those who may be whispering in your ears are not the ones who are feeling the impact of what is being said by the other side. You have to have an ear, a special line when corruption is reported that you act immediately, even if it is suspicion of corruption, even if it is false news of corruption. Investigate every complaint of corruption, especially when it comes from the opposition side. When the opposition are accusing you, listen, pay attention. They may fabricate stuff, but it can also be true because people in your camp, President Ali, wants your job. There are a lot of PPP people that wants your job, President Ali. They want to be president. They don't want you as president. They want to be president. They can very well be some of the sources that are leaking information to Aubrey Norton and the PNC camp about what happens in your government. And if it comes out that your people are leaking or selling information to the opposition about you, you need to get to the bottom of it and fire them publicly. This is no party loyalist. You need to drain your own swamp. You need to clean up your own house because there is no way that these accusations can get out if it didn't come from within. And if it comes from within, you need to get down to whoever it could be and get rid of them in public. So the Guyanese understand that, hey, even if it's my brother that is fingered in corruption, I'm going to fire his ass in the public's eye. I'm going to cut him off. He's still my brother. But professionally, in terms of my government and my party, he's out. So the people can understand that you stand for law and order and no bullshit. Corruption is what is keeping the propaganda alive for the opposition. Aubrey Norton doesn't have a job if he doesn't get claims and leaks about corruption. Did you see him pay any attention to Azzuddin Mohammed? Because he didn't think that Azzuddin Mohammed was a threat to him. He believed that Azzuddin Mohammed and the Win party is a part of the PNC, which in fact they are. But he's going to see the other side of Azzuddin. If he thought Azzuddin could be a loyalist to him, let the official result come out. And if Azzuddin secures more seat than Aubrey Norton will get a slap in his face to understand that, hey, you may have trained the guy, you may have taken the guy, but the guy is not going to return to you what you expect. Then you would get the real rift, and the leaks would start when Azzuddin betrays Aubrey Norton. Give it a few days. Give it a few days. But for now, you may have a new cabinet, President Ali. The people are looking forward to that. You will deliver on the promises you've made for the next 5 years. But you have to surround yourself with the people who you know has the Guyanese at their back. They're already getting government salaries, huge government salaries. They're getting privileges, they're getting subsidies, they're getting all these things from the government. There is no justification for corruption. All these ministers, officers, directors, permanent secretary. Yeah, May Thomas, you never want another May Thomas. Never want another one like her. That's the point I'm making. Look at what she did. She brought a disgrace to your party because she's a PPP. Look at what she did. You never want people like that. Permanent secretary. You never want people like that. To be a public servant is to be one who's willing to serve, not to be served. You don't become a public servant because you want to fill your pockets. A public servant is like a volunteer. It's like the government is a charitable organization and you are volunteering in this organization to serve the people. That's what public service means. You volunteer. You don't go there for pay. You don't go for a salary. You go to volunteer service to the people. And as a result of that, you get free housing, you get some concessions, you get some, but you don't get a salary. You don't get a kickback. You don't get a percentage. None of that stuff. That is not what public service means. It means you're serving the public freely. But if you are using titles, government titles, to get access to land, duty-free concession, to help your brother or your sister or your family or someone, that is not the whole point of being in government. Then your intentions were bad. Your ulterior motive was bad. This is why people are talking of corruption and you're losing trust from the masses because the masses didn't vote for that. There's a backlog in processing of house lots. You promise it's going to be speed up. The masses voted to put somebody in place who's going to speed up the process. But when the masses vote to put you in place to speed the process up, it's not to speed the process up for their friends or their family, to speed the process up for Guyanese. If the masses vote for you because they want to have their NIS process or this process or that process, that's what they mean. If they voted because they want justice in terms of crimes committed, cold cases, they want to be safe in their neighborhoods, they want harsher punishment for criminals, that's what they mean. They want that to happen when they vote for a party who promises to deliver. They don't want to hear we're working on that, we're studying the system, we're looking at certain no, that's fucking they don't want to hear that. You had a plan, right? During the manifesto, you had a plan. You brought the plan to the public. This is my plan. This is what I will do. But after you get into office, you're studying, you consulting, you're looking at different. No, you said you had a plan. All you need to do is to implement the plan after you get into government. That's what you need to do. Not to think of a new plan. You implement what you already have. So when you come and you're now studying stuff, people see that shit. He fooled us. They fooled us. They just wanted to get there. This is why the PNC suffered and the party begins to fade. But instead of them losing to people like Forward Guyana or Broom's Party or these others, they're losing to win. I just come. They're losing to him. What does that tell you? It tells you that black people are forgiving, but at the same time, they hold malice. They hold things in their heart. So they're willing to forgive a billionaire for robbing them taxpayers' money, forgive a billionaire for putting a stain on the country, a bad name, forgiving a billionaire for potentially causing sanctions on Guyana. They're willing to forgive him for that as against voting for the PNC or any of the offshoots of the PNC. Why is this the PPP fault? It's not the PPP fault. The PPP convinced the blacks to vote for the policies of the PPP, but not necessarily against the PNC. The blacks looked, they saw, they experienced, and they grow wary of the violence, wary of the crime, wary of the lies, wary of the politics. The black people became wary of that. They don't want to hear anything more of PNC, anything more of Aubrey Norton, anything more of APNU. They don't want to hear anything from Nigel Hughes, from Kathy Hughes, from Simona Brooms, from Amanda Walter, from David Hines, from Benchcop, from Melly Smell, from Rick. The black people said enough is fucking enough. We don't want to hear anything more from these people. Because what they're saying is keeping us depressed and sad and fearful and lonely and isolated and hungry and poor and jobless, hopelessness. We don't want anything more to do with these black side pundits people. Because while they're getting their funds from the same people they want us to hate, nobody is funding us. We're struggling while they're happy. So the blacks in Guyana realize that, no, we're done with these people. We're going to go and support the party that historically was the first political party in Guyana, and they were never a party for Indians. When the PPP started, it was a party for the working class, for Guyanese. It never had an Indian identity. Burnham turned it into that. The PNC camp turned it into that and forced the Indians to shelter under the umbrella of the PPP because the PNC had no accommodations for Indo-Guyanese. None. That's why now it is sold as a party for Indo-Guyanese, but it's not. The PPP is a party for all Guyanese. It's a national party. It's a nation party. It's a one party. And the blacks are now realizing that they were lied to from the PNC all their lives. Now they're realizing. And if Ali does what he had done, if he does what he did in the past 3 years, if he continue to do the same thing and better in the next 5 years, the PNC would cease to exist. They would cease to exist. All these other parties would not exist anymore if Ali continues on the path and does his best to root out any semblance of corruption. If he does that, and he is successful with that, there'll be no opposition. Opposition party is formed when there's a hole there that the government is slipping. When a certain section of the society feels that they are marginalized, and they have these people like Ajudin and these others are using the opportunity to spew out, hey, corruption, corruption. That's how come people become sympathetic towards those who claim to want to fight corruption. But there were no evidence of this corruption. But still, there are vulnerable people that you can persuade with that kind of stuff. What I'm saying here is, my warning, President Ali, you want to close down all of these other small parties. You want to close them down. You want to get rid of them. This is your chance. This is your chance. Associate your government and your party with positive people, not criminals. Positive people. And the rest of the world will back you, not criminals. Don't allow your party agents to fund these low-life so-called influencers on the internet. Don't allow that. They don't target the good, decent Guyanese citizens. They don't target them. Their audiences are thugs and gangsters and losers. You don't want them. Let them stay with their hustlers. Stand behind, associate your party with members of the Guyanese community who stands for something. They have a large following. Let me give you an example. There are a lot of the blacks who are saying that black people don't support me. They're saying that. They're alleging that. But let me tell you something. My viewership is almost 50-50. The tens of thousands, when you put it together, when you put all the numbers together across the platform, the tens of thousands of people who watch and follow me across platforms, it's 50-50. A lot of them are saying that only PPP people support me. No, it's not true. It's not true. There are thousands of blacks in Guyana and around the world who watch my videos. Thousands. Some may disagree with the way I put over certain things, but they understand that this is how you have to call a sin a sin. And those blacks listened, they paid attention. And that's why a lot of them did not go out to vote for the PNC. They rather not vote if they had to vote for the PNC. I knew I'm a black man. I understand how black people think. They are very proud people. Most are arrogant. And while they may secretly type something on social media, they would not go out and support crime publicly. So in Guyana, a lot of the blacks who listened to me did not vote for the PNC. They didn't. They didn't want to vote for the PPP because they don't want to feel like as if, I may have had some impact on them. They stayed home. The point is they didn't vote. So no, not only Indo-Guyanese watch me or Chinese or whatever. A lot of blacks do. And I'm saying now to President Irfan Ali, I want you to win those blacks over. They must not have the alternative to stay home. They must be proud to come out and say, hey, I'm going to stand by the PPP. You have 5 years to do it. You have 5 years to fix it. Make it a mandate. Tell all them hustlers around you who are hustling for position. I know how it goes. I know it goes. They want contracts. They want position. who don't want to talk minister this and director of this, and I know how it goes. We all do. Those bloodsuckers, all parties have them. All the parties have them. A lot don't want to go into parliament. They want to be minister this and minister that, and this and this, that and this. Yeah, we know. You don't think we know? Tell them hustlers, them bloodsuckers. Hey man, you had enough in the previous 5 years. You sucked a lot. Listen now. This is turning off the people. I'm going to form a cabinet, not for you to get rich, but for you to make the Guyanese people rich. I'm forming a cabinet, not you to help your friends or your brothers or your cousins or some third and fourth, fifth cousin who you never knew existed, or not for you to start some firm in some fifth person's name to have government contracts channeled to that firm so you get a kickback. None of that shit. I'm forming my cabinet because I want to win. I want to win all the Guyanese people. 100%. And the only way I can win them so that 2030 election, even if I'm not going to be president again, the PPP can secure 100% of the votes, is if you fuckers do your job. Is if you do your job and don't take bribe. Don't do anything stupid to make me look bad. We want to shut down the PNC. We want to shut down all of these parties. And for us to do that, you have to deliver on your job. Look in your ministries and root out all the officers who are corrupt. Get rid of them. Fire them. Who got to go to jail, send them the fuck to jail. So President Ali, start on that note. Tell them they're not going there to get rich. All this land thing with this one and that one and this minister this and this minister that. I'm exhausted. I didn't focus on that before because I didn't want to distract the people from your plans. Now I am. Now I'm going to focus on it. But I received a lot of complaints, President Ali, a lot of fucking complaints about how shitty some ministers are. I didn't deal with it. Now I will deal with it from this point. Because I want you to understand, the Guyanese people voted you to get rid of those bad ministers, to change them. But you don't change them to put somebody fucking worst. You don't change them to put somebody who is their friend. The ministers that you are going to put now, let them come out and declare their assets. Let the country know what they have to their name. Now, say, hey, Minister of Finance, Minister of this, this is his public portfolio. This is what he has now. Let the country know. So at the end of your term, you do an investigation and see what this minister has achieved. And if the minister has achieved 10 times than what his salary afforded, then you call in Soku. Well, you need to change that organization too. But my point is, then you put them on the review. Start with a clean slate. All those old ministers who you know got a bad stain because of their alleged corruptions, get rid of them. Don't recycle them. Don't put them in other ministries. Get rid of them completely. Because 5 years really finishes fast. You see how quick the last 5 years finished. Just a few months ago, you announced the election. It's already over. Now you have 5 more years. And if the people around you take that 5 years for granted, the PPP may very well lose the chance in 2030. Because if you start on a bad note, if you start on a bad page, and to put back a lot of these corrupt ministers back into office, I will be the first critic against your government. And I'm serious. If you recycle these ministers who the public know were fingered in a lot of nonsense, I will be one of the first to call them out. And if nothing happens to change that, you don't have my support 2030. You don't. And I mean that. The Guyanese people give you another chance because you deserve it. We all wanted that. You got it. Use the opportunity to stop funding, because they're saying it, not me. Stop the appearance that you are funding friends and family. Stop it. See this second chance as the last chance the PPP has to govern Guyana. See this second chance as that. And do your best in the next 5 years to make sure it's not the last chance, but see it as the last chance. And if you have ambition, if the party has ambition to continue governance of Guyana, clean up your act. You talked about investing in young people. Get the young ones that is not corrupted. Get the young ones that is not connected to known ministers. Don't put ministers' children, family, relatives in places. No, no, no. Get people from the communities that hates you, get them and make them government officials. Don't get people who are familiar to the party. Get the ones that you know hate you. Get your enemies' children and put them in government. Then your enemy has no need to criticize you anymore. Put them in government. But the black people who did not vote for the PNC and who did not vote for anyone, you need to get them. Spend the next 5 years getting them. The Indo-Guyanese are giving you another chance. You don't want to turn them off either, because Indians are not that forgiving like the blacks. You fuck with the Indians, they'll teach you a lesson. Blacks might forgive you, but they wouldn't. So use the 5 years you have to make up for the wrongs your ministers commit against the Indo-Guyanese, and to win the blacks that wants nothing to do with the PPP. 5 years to come. You do that, and the PPP will continue to govern Guyana forever. We want to get rid of the PNC. I want to see the PNC shut down. They're not important anymore. Let them sell Congress Place. Let them open an animal shelter there. As to how you deal with the Ajudi Muhammad, well, if the man is going to be a parliamentarian now, if he's going to be a member of parliament, and Doggy, imagine that. Imagine Doggy as a member of parliament. Are you kidding me? If Doggy becomes a member of parliament, I'm the prince. I should have a whole entourage. Imagine. You know how embarrassed I feel now? Doggy is a member of parliament? Are you kidding me? I'm thinking to myself, fuck. That sanction thing did nothing. I mean, Fata or Odessa Primer and this Rastafarian one that looks like a lesbian. Well, she was a member of parliament before, but the Muhammad's team might very well be in the National Assembly. Doggy, Fatah, Odessa Primer, this other one, and Azruddin. Members of fucking parliament. Imagine that. I really should have taken that 200,000. At least I wouldn't feel like such an asshole. You get it? You get my point? If I had accepted that 200,000 American dollars, I wouldn't feel like such an asshole. That look at that, all that effort, and these fools are still going to get in the parliament. All that effort. And I'm walking away like the stupid ass, like the dumb ass. I'm the dumb ass. Really. These people we call idiots and fools and lowlifes and lunatics, they're going to be the member of parliament. And the ones who are supposed to be the smart genius academics are still regretting their choices. I hope you get the sense. I'm being sarcastic here, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. If the government had the majority of the seats in parliament, they could have enacted reasonable legislation so that Azridine's presence in the campaign trail would never have been possible. I'm hoping that the results now would give the Ali government the 40 seats they need. The 40 seats they need. So they can now enact legislations to reverse that. It's possible. We don't know how many seats they get right now, and I'm nervous because I don't just want the man to be president. I want the PPP to control the parliament, to have at least 40 seats. It's a far stretch, but I'll settle for 35 or 36. So the laws gets passed. We don't want this embarrassment again. You got a sanctioned man, a criminal. You have Venezuelans shooting at Guyanese election people and soldiers on the day before elections or elections day to disrupt the whole process. I told you Maduro is going to pick on Guyana just to show the Americans that he's a bully. And he started it. Now you have this issue to deal with, where Maduro's guy can very well be in the parliament to block all the progress that the government is going to push in favor of Maduro. America, go get that guy, man. What are you waiting for? Go invade Venezuela, get Maduro, because we're going to be affected. The longer you take is the more grounds and opportunity you're giving his people. Go get Maduro. America, stop bluffing. This isn't a political stunt. This is serious. After the official results of GCOM, then I'll continue with what I need to continue with. But for now, this is Dr. Love Prasad saying, I have some appointments to attend to. I thought I'll just get with this and get it over with. Then I go to my appointments. Don't worry, I'm not going to see the president. I am the president. But thank you very much. Thanks for watching. Share the video, and I'll see you again on the next Dr. Love Prasad Uncensored. I'll fix the lighting. This is a different area, but so the lighting is a bit off. And when you're doing these broadcasts, you don't have the lights in the back, makes your image look dark. You need to change the view. But anyway, you get it. You understand. Next time. Bye.